So now the last ones we're going to do are where we're dividing. So I'm going to have 31 where I have C divided by D, which when you look at those, that actually is 4 plus 7i divided by my D, which is negative 6i. Now, if you remember, we can't leave I in the denominator. It's the same as a radical, so I'm just going to multiply by I, divide by I. I don't need to worry about the negative 6. It's not a radical, and that would just make more for me to reduce if I included that here. So, up at the top, I would end up with 4i plus 7i squared. And down at the bottom, I'm going to have negative 6i squared. We'll go ahead and take care of those I squareds. 7 times negative 1, and negative 6 times negative 1. And so you get my final answer. Let's see, I'm going to have negative 7 plus 4i up at the top, and positive 6 down in my denominator. Now with number 32, I've got A divided by B, which when we look at this, we end up with 3 minus 6i divided by B, which is negative 5 plus 8i. Now, when I have negative 5 plus 8i, anytime I have a radical where I'm adding another term, doesn't matter if it's another radical, I can't just multiply by I over I. The way it distributes, it's not going to do what I want and cancel out my radicals. So I have to multiply by the complex conjugate. Same thing we did when we had regular radicals, multiply by the conjugate. So it's negative 5 minus 8i. Now here, I'm going to do negative 5 minus 8i up in the top, and I'm going to put in my parentheses. Important to remember with the FOIL, helps me to keep things separated. Now, nice thing about multiplying by a conjugate, it still is going to be my first term squared minus my second term squared, which is 8i in this case. Now up at the top, I got to do some FOILing. So I've got negative 15 minus 24i plus 30i plus 48i squared. And from this point on, it is just going to be combining my like terms and taking care of those I squareds and just reducing. So I've got negative 15, negative 24i plus 30i, that's going to be just plus 6i. 48 times I squared, that actually is going to be 48 times negative 1. Down here, negative 5 squared is 25. And then I'm going to have minus 64i squared. Alright, keep going here with my reducing. So I got negative 15 plus 6i minus 48. And down the bottom, I'm going to have 25. That negative 64 times I squared is really going to end up being plus 64. And I get that from substituting in negative 1 for that I squared. Now when I go from here, it's negative 15 and negative 48. Add those together, you're going to get negative 63 plus 6i. And 25 plus 64 is 89. And that is as far as it will reduce.